Hi, I'm Wishy Washy, and today we're talking about making art prints. And maybe I can figure out a way to put a cool little graphic or something on the bottom. I started this YouTube channel basically just as a way to back up my TikTok videos and another place to share them to people, but I figured since I have the ability now to make full-length videos, why not start with the top question that I get asked? Where do I get my art prints made? Getting prints made of your art can be one of the hardest things to figure out as an artist. So what I'm going to do is take you through the journey I took myself and present you 3 options and see which one you like best. As a quick disclaimer here, the tips that I share in this video are all based on my experience and my opinions. Yours may be different, so please feel free to leave any comments on things that worked for you and help out other artists looking at this video. Also, I am totally new to making full-length videos like this. As you can see, I have nothing in the background. I've got Grogu here, so I have no idea how this audio is going to be. I'm figuring it out as I go. Apologies ahead of time. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started with option number 1. First, let's break this down into 2 different types of online print shops. The first one we're going to talk about are commission-based online shops like Redbubble, which is what we're going to use for this example because honestly, it is the #1 site that I get asked about. Shops like this are great for artists who just want to create the art and let somebody handle everything else. These shops will handle things like printing, setups, delivery, online stores, taxes, they do everything. For me though, there were just too many downsides to this. Again, the example we're using here is Redbubble, just because it's the most common one that I get asked about. So what are you going to make off of your artwork? The artwork is going to be the artist margin. What is an artist margin? It's the base price times the markup. That's your artist margin. All right, let's just cut through everything and get to what are you actually going to make for your art. Right here, it shows you this defaults to 20%, but you're free to raise or lower the amount at any time. So what this is telling you is that for your artwork, you are going to make 20% while this site takes 80%. Nope, don't like that. For me, this margin is not acceptable. Secondly, I like having control over my artwork and the products that it's placed on. What I mean by this is I really like to check it out myself, look at it, hold it in my hands, see what is going out to my customers before it's shipped off. This way, I know the quality's good. So this led me to researching my second type of online print shop. I've been struggling to find a name to call these shops, but I'm going to call them real print shops. The reason that I say this is because a lot of these places are actual brick and mortar print shops that also happen to have an online store that they can ship to you. Since I'm in the US, I'm going to be talking about US based shops. Now, if you're in another country, just imagine that I am talking about a shop located where you are. International orders and then shipping to you get into a whole different category that I'm not going to get into right now with time delays, taxes, inspections. There's just a lot that goes into it, and maybe that's another video, but we're going to stick with where you're located. Using these types of print shops was actually my method of choice for quite some time. So what I'm going to do is start off with the pros and explain why I use this option. A lot of people ask me, well, what shop did you use? So I'm going to talk about Printivity. That's what I used for a very long time. I really love their quality of prints, and their prices were really good as well. Also, on a side note, I am not being sponsored by any of the companies that you're going to see in the videos today. I'm just giving you honest reviews based on my personal experiences. When selling prints as an artist, one of the first things you want to think about is sizing. Now, when you go to things like Artist Alley conventions, one of the top sizes you'll see are 11 by 17 prints. When going through these online print shops and trying to find 11 by 17, a lot of times you're going to look for either posters or mini posters. You can see the 11 by 17 right here on Printivity. For me currently though, you'll see I go with 8 by 10 as my size of choice. If you're looking to go within this size range, go under color copies. That's where most places will have this.
Well, why do you choose 8 by 10?
That was corny, but okay. I find that 8 by 10 sizes work for me for a couple different reasons. First off, for customers, it's really just a lot easier to find wall space for an 8 by 10. Also, it's a lot easier for them to find really cool frames to put your artwork in. Also, for me as an artist, having things at 8 by 10, I'm able to ship things way more cost efficiently. But we can talk about shipping in a whole different video. If you're interested in that, let me know and maybe we'll do that. The next thing we'll talk about here are paper types, and boy, are there a lot. A lot of these print companies are really cool, and they will send you sample packs so that you can actually feel them in your hand before ordering and get an idea of what do I want my prints to be on. For me personally, my choice is always to go with 100-pound cover, either gloss or matte, but I tend to lean more towards gloss. Sometimes I see these listed as card stock, sometimes I see it listed as cover stock. Honestly, to me, they both seem like the same thing. If anyone knows different, you can correct me, but they seem the same to me. Online print shops make it so easy to set up your file. Most of them have templates like the one that you see here. You just download it and look for where the bleeds are going to be, follow their instructions, and you can get your print done very easily. And here's my example. See, I know right exactly where I need to put everything and understand where it's going to cut off at. It makes it super easy. And don't worry if you don't know what you're doing the first time. They have teams here that will proof your artwork. They'll send you a copy, like an image, and show you exactly what it's going to look like, and it needs your approval before going to production. And if you happen to find that you're working with a print shop that doesn't do this step, well, find another print shop. If you want a best price, make sure that you're also building in a couple weeks for the print shop to do production and shipping and for them to get to you. You can always have it come in much quicker, but remember that the quicker you want the order, the more the price is going to go up. So now's a good time, I guess, to start talking about why did I start looking into other options. There really was only one reason that I left, but it was a big one: shipping. And I'm not talking about price because I thought that was actually pretty reasonable. I'm talking about things that affected the quality of my prints. I showed you the box before, but when I used to order prints from Printivity, it came in a box like this. Inside, the printer would do their best to pack up the prints to ensure that they arrive to you the same way they're leaving the shop. However, the print shop has no control over the delivery service, which led to some issues. There would be times that the corners of my boxes would be dented in. What did this mean? It meant the prints were jacked up. I'm going to try and get this to show up on camera, but you can see here how a corner was bent on this one. Well, it wasn't just that one, it was all of them, and that makes those prints unsellable. I want to build a loyal customer base, and that all starts with quality. Now, I will say this. Each time the prints did come messed up, the print shop was really great to work with. All I did was send them a picture of what happened, and they would send me new ones. However, each time this happens, it would push me back and delay me a week while I wait for the replacements to come in. Then it started to happen where the replacements were coming in damaged as well, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I do want to say that it has been some time since I've worked with Printivity, so maybe they did figure out something to help the transition between leaving the shop and arriving at the customer. They were really great to work with, and if you want to give them a try, especially if you live in California and have close by delivery, go with it. Try them. Give them a shot. However, for me, I had had enough, so I moved on to my next option. Yes, the at-home print option. On-demand printing, print as you sell. There's so many different names for it. This is such a cool option if you have the ability to do it, so let's start off with the pros. As previously mentioned, you get to print on demand, which means that you don't have the overhead from having to store all those prints. Let's face it, not all your prints are going to sell. I've created some myself that I thought were awesome, but when I put them on the store, they ended up being real stinkers. So then I'm stuck with them just sitting around waiting to be sold. Printing at home eliminated that issue altogether. I could just wait for a sale. When it came in, I make the print, I ship it off. It also gave me that quality control that I was looking for. I could see the print right in front of me, inspect it myself, ensure that it was grade A, ready to go, and if it wasn't, I just printed another. And if you're wondering about my print sizing and paper quality, same as the last time. It's 8x10, 100-pound cover stock. Usually I like gloss, but sometimes I go matte. Finding the right printer is key for this though. You can't just go to the store, pick up some random $40 printer and think you're going to be getting the same quality that a print shop does. For me, I did a ton of research and I ended up going with the Canon IP8720. I had to read that because I couldn't remember it. Personally, I think Canon makes some of the most amazing printers out there. I just had to find one that fit into my budget. And if it's not this one you use, check out the other Canons. You might be able to find one that's awesome too. But speaking of budget, that's kind of where we get into the sections of not so good. Now first, let me say this may not be a bad thing. It depends on where you're at currently in your artist career. There's no escaping the fact that there's going to be upfront costs to this. For example, that printer cost me almost $300 when I got started. Then you got to think about ink, not just the ink that comes with it, but you're going to have to refill that ink all the time. For Canon, it was $70 a pop just for the refills. You could go with a different brand. They have little cheaper brands that are out there on Amazon, but I kind of wanted to stick with the highest quality that I could. Paper comes at a cost as well. It was a smaller cost, but it still adds up. I also had to get a desk. I didn't have anywhere stable and secure to put this printer, so I had to go buy one of those as well. All in all, I had to come up with about $500–600 just to get started in this, but I loved it. No longer did I need to wait for deliveries to come in and hope and pray that they weren't damaged. This saved me so much time. However, eventually I did start looking into other options. For one, and maybe this was all in my head, but I just could not seem to get the same quality that I could from a professional print shop. It was really close, and I'm sure if I kept messing with it that I probably could have gotten almost exact to where it was, but I just did not have the time, energy, or money to do this. This is not my full-time job. I have a 9-to-5, so what free time I do have that I put into this, I need to make sure that I'm maximizing it. There was also a part of me that missed that ability to just have the order come in, pick up the print, sign it, put it in its packaging, ship it off. Yes, I could have printed a bunch ahead of time, but that defeated the purpose of on-demand printing. Also the cost. Was I saving money? Absolutely. In the end, I was. But was the per print cost saving me enough money to justify keep doing it this way? Not for me. So I kept on searching, and this led to how I'm currently doing things in 2023. And before I start, I know this option isn't available to everyone, but it is currently my favorite. Starting off, this was probably the hardest one out of all of them. I searched Google, I read reviews, I went to so many different shops. The issue was that most of the print shops only work in bulk, and I do not order that many at a time. I would have had to order 10 times as many prints as I normally do just to meet their minimum requirements. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum, I found that places like FedEx and Staples were great if you were only doing a couple prints, but if you were doing as many as I was doing, oh, it was just way too expensive. Eventually though, my perseverance paid off and I was able to find a couple shops that were able to meet exactly what I wanted at exactly the price I wanted. And 2 of them were actually franchises of the same company. This shop was called Minuteman Press. The reason I liked them the best was because they had the paper that I liked, 100-pound cover stock. After getting samples, I found that their quality was great. They made sure to send me proofs before going into production, and the price was right in line with where I feel print should be. Also, they had a lot of really cool other items in there, some of which that I've gotten already, but it wasn't just printing copies of things on paper. There's a lot more that they did, so I saw possibilities with this company. And for those of you that made it this far in the video, I'm going to give you a little tip to help cut costs. As you know, I like to do my prints in an 8x10 size, but a lot of print shops will actually charge you extra to cut it down to that size. So let's eliminate that cost. For me, I like to add a little border around my artwork. I think it adds a little extra touch to it. You don't have to do this step, but if you do, here's what I do. Now, this image you're seeing right here is in 8x10. You'll also notice that it's in CMYK. That's for printing. If you don't know colors yet, let me know in the comments. I could do a whole video on that as well to help with printing, to make sure what you see on your screen is what you're gonna get when it's printed out. Okay, the next step I do is, instead of where this little black outline is, I will put my artwork, make sure that it's lined up here, looks nice, looks good, I like the way it looks, I like the border. I select all of it, and then I will actually go in and copy everything. Now over here is the standard 8.5 by 11 paper that it gets printed on. There's no need for the print shop to cut anything. One thing that I do here is I put do not remove spacing. That way, when their artists on their side going through looking at the proof and creating one for you, they know I intended it to be this way. I am not off-centering things for any reason other than I want it that way. Now when you're all set, you paste in your picture like this, and then it's ready to go. It's got the little marks there that says do not remove spacing, and it has the little border that I want. And when it comes in, it's going to look like this. Wait, hold on. It's going to look like, wait, there. And when it comes in, it's going to look like this. This will be what I got in, except I need to remove the little edges now. Now, to take those edges off, I went in to Amazon and I got a little paper cutter like this. All I have to do is trim it down to 8x10, and those little do not remove spacings are gone, and then you get a nice little 8x10 print like this. Now, it's not a ton of money, but it's nice, and it gets into these little 8x10 prints. It allows me to save on the per print cost. And I actually really like just cutting the paper. I like the ASMR sound of it. So one thing to note about shops that are like Minuteman is that they're franchises. What that means is not every store is going to be the same. For example, here with Minuteman, you can see that there are multiple countries that it's in, and then when you go into locations, there's tons of different states that it's in as well. Now, I ended up having two shops that were relatively close to me. One was a 5-minute drive and one was a 30-minute drive. I actually ended up going to the one that was 30 minutes away for a couple of different reasons. One, they had an online shop there that I could just do everything right from my computer. I didn't need to go in and talk to anybody. I could just place my order and wait for the proof to come in. Secondly, I could be a little lazy at times, and they had a delivery service with a local courier, and the price of their prints plus the courier ended up being the same price as the other shop for just the prints, which I still don't understand to this day, but okay. The big key here, as with everything in every category, is do your research. It really pays in the end. All right, so let's do a little bit of a recap here. We talked about 3 options: the online shop, the at-home printing, and the local print shop. I really hope at least one of those worked for you. If you found this video helpful in any way, please consider giving a like. It would be greatly appreciated. Also, now that I have the YouTube channel, I'd love to do more videos like this. So if you'd like to see me cover topics on anything, please let me know. I am not the end-all be-all expert on anything, but I will happily share my journey and any knowledge I have with all of you. And if it's your first time here, make sure to hit that subscribe button because I appreciate each and every one of you. I can't wait to continue making these videos. Now go make some art. All right, bye.